The week before Christmas, Mara Ellis was standing outside the Willow Creek Community Center after her 8-year-old daughter, Sophie, finished rehearsing for the town's holiday pageant when her husband, Evan, casually informed her that his family had already held their Christmas celebration 2 nights earlier at his aunt's farmhouse. And when Mara realized that Sophie had not been invited either, the sting became something much deeper than an awkward family misunderstanding, because Sophie had spent 3 weeks painting a wooden angel for her grandmother and had been counting the hours until she could give it to her. Mara tried to remain calm as Evan explained that the gathering had been simpler without them, but then he made one careless remark that changed the entire conversation. His mother, Beatrice, still needed Mara to guarantee a substantial business loan before the end of the year, supposedly to rescue the family-owned bakery from a financial crisis. Instead of arguing in the parking lot, Mara drove home through streets glowing with Christmas lights, waited until Sophie was asleep, and opened the folder containing the documents she had agreed to review for Beatrice months earlier, expecting to find a modest loan connected to overdue equipment repairs, only to discover invoices for a completely different project involving a luxury bakery expansion, a leased commercial property, and a large transfer described vaguely as family investment capital. When Evan came home, Mara placed the papers on the kitchen table and quietly asked, "Why am I being asked to guarantee money for a business plan I was never shown?" Evan froze, then accused her of turning a family celebration into a financial interrogation, but Mara noticed something even more disturbing when he insisted that Beatrice's situation was desperate because the bakery needed saving. One of the attached documents showed that the bakery had already received enough private funding to cover its immediate debts, while another showed a substantial payment toward a new storefront in a neighboring town, making Mara realize that the story she had been told was missing an important piece. The next morning, Mara contacted the accountant whose name appeared on the bakery records, and after several uncomfortable questions, she learned that Beatrice had not simply been struggling to keep the old bakery alive. She had been preparing to transfer the business into a new company controlled by Evan and his older brother, Caleb, while using Mara's income and credit history to make the financing application appear safer than it really was. And suddenly, the secret Christmas celebration looked less like a family disagreement and more like part of a carefully arranged plan to keep Mara away from conversations where she might ask the wrong questions. When Mara confronted Evan, he finally admitted that he had known about the new company for months and believed that once the loan closed, everything would work itself out. But when she asked why Sophie had been excluded from the celebration, his answer was painfully simple. Beatrice had warned him that bringing Mara and Sophie would create questions about the business, and Evan had decided it was easier to leave them behind than to challenge his mother. Mara could have immediately canceled everything and walked away, but instead she requested a formal meeting with Beatrice, Evan, Caleb, and the accountant at the community bank where the financing was scheduled to be finalized. And when everyone arrived expecting Mara to sign papers and quietly accept another family decision, she placed a separate folder on the table containing copies of the bakery's public filings, recent payments, property records, and correspondence that contradicted the story they had given her. Beatrice's face hardened as she accused Mara of spying on the family, while Caleb insisted that the expansion would eventually benefit everyone. But Mara calmly replied, "I am not here to stop your dream. I am here to stop you from putting my name behind a decision you deliberately kept secret." Evan tried to interrupt, yet for the first time Mara refused to rescue him from the consequences of his own choices, and when the bank officer confirmed that Mara could decline the guarantee without owing the family anything, the room fell silent because everyone finally understood that the person they had treated as the convenient solution had decided she would no longer be treated as an automatic resource. Outside the bank, Evan followed Mara across the parking lot and asked whether this meant their marriage was over, but instead of giving him the dramatic answer he expected, she told him that she needed him to understand the difference between making a mistake and repeatedly choosing the easiest path while someone else carried the consequences. She reminded him that he had not merely hidden a business deal, but had allowed his mother to convince him that excluding his wife and daughter was acceptable, and that Sophie had spent Christmas believing her grandmother did not want her there, even though the child had done nothing wrong. Evan finally broke down and admitted that he had spent years feeling ashamed that Mara earned more, handled most of the serious financial decisions, and seemed more confident whenever the family faced a crisis, but Mara told him that insecurity could explain his behavior without excusing it, and she refused to let his shame become an excuse for betrayal. For the next several months, Mara and Sophie stayed with Mara's cousin Nora, while Mara found a small house of their own near a quiet lake, and during that time Evan began counseling, separated himself from the business scheme, and eventually confronted his mother about the way she had manipulated him, while Beatrice was forced to restructure the bakery's finances without Mara's credit or income standing behind them. Sophie continued asking about her father, so Mara never poisoned the child against him, instead telling her that grown-ups sometimes make choices they must learn to repair, and when Evan finally visited with an apology that contained no excuses, Sophie listened for a moment before asking whether he had brought the strawberry muffins she liked, which made everyone laugh through tears. Months later, Beatrice asked to see Sophie, and Mara agreed only after establishing clear boundaries, and during that visit, Sophie quietly handed her grandmother the wooden angel she had painted weeks earlier, saying, "I kept it because I thought you might still want it," leaving Beatrice speechless as she realized that the little girl had preserved affection even after the adults had nearly destroyed the relationship. By the following Christmas, Mara had built a life that no longer depended on being needed by people who refused to respect her. Evan had become more honest about money and responsibility, and although their marriage remained uncertain, they were slowly learning how to communicate without manipulation, blame, or secrets. Mara eventually understood that the real lesson had never been about a Christmas party or a loan, but about recognizing the moment when generosity turns into permission for others to make decisions on your behalf, and she promised herself that she would continue helping people when she genuinely wanted to help, while never again signing away her peace simply to keep someone else comfortable. Please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. We create entertaining and inspiring stories for our viewers, and your support helps us continue making great content for you.